Hello gamers, I am Pikmin1211 and I'm here at FEE3 2024 showing off Pirate Project, a tentative title, and I'm joined by my good friends here.
Hello,
Hello,
my name's
gamers.
Loog, and I'm the project lead.
And I'm BPAD. I also contributed to the project.
And I technically myself have contributed to the project.
So
Don't
true.
forget me, Chief.
So do you wanna do you wanna say anything about before we start there, Lug?
Yeah, overall, this project was kind of it came out of me wanting to try a project that was more open to like the community as a whole, or the FEU community. And that means that it's done in the FEU Discord, and that was the main goal, right? Beyond that, I think the rest we'll kind of see in the gameplay.
Sure. So should we get started?
Sure.
Kick it off for us, boss.
And we're just going to be playing the first chapter, and then we're going to be doing a little bit after that as well.
Do we want to talk about some of the features as we go through this text?
Yeah, we can talk about that. And also, I want to note that basically the outline of this story came from Pandan. So, like the characters, just like the general setup, all of that was him. So this is all kind of building off of that.
You're making my hack, Chief.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
You're the chief
Outsourced.
idea guy for this.
chief idea guy. I made a spreadsheet. I wrote some
Yeah,
names on a
exactly.
page.
Did all the important parts.
Yeah, and then I did a little bit of another chapter.
Yeah.
I haven't done much else.
Hey, the initial motivation, I think, was, well, part of it was I was working on another project. I made break for it because I liked Engage, or that mechanic in Engage. But then I didn't end up going forward with it, so I kind of put that here, and it became more. It's got some Fates elements to it too. Like there's the other triangle with knives, tomes, and bows, and then it just added break on top of that instead of like the weird thing Engage has going on where they're like all beaten by fists.
We love some good fists.
Unfortunately, no fists in this hack.
Very sad. But there is something else, right?
So,
There's
yeah,
guns. Yes.
Guns.
So guns. The reason guns are here is because, well, they're pirates, right? That was another big core of the idea behind the hack. Pirates are not super common in Fire Emblem, even though I think their background suits itself to like the way Fire Emblem plays, with these sort of smaller skirmishes and stuff like that. So pirates, they're swashbucklers. You gotta have guns, right? So guns here are weapons that use skill as your primary offensive stat. So if you have high skill, you do more damage and also have more hits. So it's a very important stat for them. And they're also 2 ranged like bows, for the most part.
Not 1 to 2 range.
No, not 1 to 2 range.
Very sad.
yeah, and they don't have any anti-fire properties either. They're just
Yeah.
kind of their own thing.
And they're just
my thought
outside the
on that
triangle, right?
was, yeah, they're outside. It's kind of like bows normally. My thought on that was, tomes and knives are already 1-2, and then bows are 2 only for the most part. So having another weapon type that was more like that instead of more like 1-2 as a default made sense to me. So that's kind of why they're like that.
Yeah, and there was space in the game because there is no light and dark and anima split. There's just tomes.
Right.
Yep, tome.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
I think you can do a lot with Magic Triangle if you really want to put in the work. But in vanilla as it is, I don't think there's a huge distinction between them. So it makes sense. You can just hijack, some of those parts and make new, more interesting types, right? Like knives.
Yeah, I think from what I've played, because I've played now the first 2 sections of the game, I think the setup works really well, and I think folks looking at this who like stuff from Fates, who are interested in some of the mechanics of Engage, I think they'll appreciate some of the changes that were made.
Yeah, I can see that. Another big thing, which we'll see in a little bit, is that the skills, because we have the skill system here, they're very intentionally designed, I would say, compared to some iterations of skill sys, or like some hacks where you're using all the regular skills. Here, there are a lot more custom skills made for this, and every unit just has their personal skill right now. And the personal skill is usually really high impact, so it does factor more into like what the unit is doing, right? Like you'll pick a unit not just because they have these weapon types, right? But they also have this skill that decides a lot of what they do.
Yeah, I
for
think
example,
I'll just add real quick on that, Luke. Like, I think what I appreciate is that it's very active. Like, it actively changes how you play versus passive bonuses or random chances for things to happen. It's very intentional. And so it becomes rewarding to try and figure out what's the right way to string these things together in a way that helps me move quickly. Like, I like this skill a lot. This is a fun
Sea
one.
Shanty is one of the, I think, more fun ones to play around.
Yeah, it gives you like a Kanto aura, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, or Cantor.
Kanto. Also,
Cantor,
sorry,
yeah.
did we?
Cantor?
Sorry,
Kanto?
It's Cantor. Sorry, my cat just threw up. But so did we miss the artist? Should we call it the artist? Because there's a lot of good art.
Yeah, we can. So Lua's mug was made by Levin.
Praise
Desideria
Levin.
was Otto Nima, and also Razvan. Pilar was Vlak. And then Carmen was Raymond. And Zima was Gold Blitz. So those are the 6 that come to mind. And then also the boss here is Raymond again.
A lot of fancy mugs, and I think I saw that Lua has a hatless version of herself.
Yeah, there was
well.
a hatless version in the original, or in the start event.
So lots of fancy stuff.
An elite crew.
So you may notice stats are generally higher than in vanilla.
Yes, we have some 12 strength fighters off of the bat here.
Yeah, they're pretty strong. That's kind of their whole thing, right? So stats are, I would say, maybe more exaggerated than in GBA. So you'll see, like, for example, I think enemy fighters have a 70% strength growth.
Oh yeah.
So their stats will scale up quickly, and so will yours, right? But the big difference is between you and the enemies that you have these really powerful skills.
And we're going to use one right now to shove our armor knight really far in there.
Awesome.
Because we love a good armor knight.
Oh yeah, one other thing that comes to mind looking at this. So the movement standard is a little bit different. Armors are at 5 move, but every other infantry is 6 move.
Yeah.
And then like Flyers 7 and Cavs 8. The Flyers 7 part is kind of inspired by like Drums of War, Dream of 5, that kind of thing. But in general, I think I like move inflation. I'm kind of a fan because I don't really like armors being at 4 move, but I don't really like them being the same as infantry. So just jacking up the movement is, it's what makes sense to me.
Yeah, 4 move just feels bad.
Oh
So
yeah, it
I
feels
like
really
what you did
bad.
here.
It's very hard to position yourself with only 4, yeah. But then cavalry and flyers only having 7 means that also infantry has a bit less trouble keeping pace with everyone
Cavs
else.
have 8 here, but yeah, it makes sense. Like infantry, the gap isn't as big, basically.
And it's not like you have like 10 Draco Knights like in Shadow Dragon.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a lot of infantry deployed. You don't have a ton of Cavaliers in the early game.
Yeah, what I will say is there are, and I guess this is another gameplay feature, there are promo items. The setup here is a little bit different. So each promo item is not, well, it is somewhat based on what class you are, but it's also based on, like, this promo item gives you this promotion, and then a different promo item would give you a different one. So as an example, Razvan, right? He's a curate, so he's like a, he's a staffer. If he takes basically a guiding ring equivalent, he promotes into sage, right? Kind of normal. But if he takes a flyer's permit, I think is what it's called, he promotes into a seraph knight, which has staves and lances. So the type of promo item that you use Well, for one thing, there's like a trade-off with other units in the army, but there's also a trade-off for that unit, right? So I think the decisions are maybe more nuanced in that way.
I think it's a good way to do split promotions, right? Because the people love split promotion. They love the
Yeah, they do.
choice. They love looking at different still sprites of what their unit could look like in the palette. And this is a fun way to make a trade-off a little more enticing. Because otherwise everyone's just going to make everyone
A horse.
paladin.
But then if
Right.
you have a specific, like, if you want a horse, you need the horse emblem, and there's only like 2 horse emblems, then you have to think a
Exactly.
little bit harder about what classes your characters are going to be
What I
promoting
love
into.
about Loog design is that he wants to make you think, which a lot of players don't like doing.
It really
They don't
makes
want
you
to have
think.
to do this. You know, I'm all about thinking when I'm playing a video game.
I don't know. Thinking in my strategy game, it's more likely than
It's kind of
you
bad, actually.
think.
But yeah, I like decisions mattering. Like obviously, like if you're thinking about FE8, right? A decent amount of those those promo choices are kind of fake choices in a way. Right? One is clearly better. In this case, it might be clearly better, like for a certain unit, but also if you're using that item, then maybe you can't promote this other guy that you want to promote. So, yeah, more decisions. I think, as long as they're not like too complicated, will make a strategy game better to a certain point.
People want the choices to matter. This
Yeah.
is what they market the game on. This is what we're marketing
So
the game
true.
on. Play this game, your choices matter.
It's a line I've heard time and again.
Yep. But yeah, this map, I think there was another thing I didn't really talk about yet. Every infantry unit has steel and lock touch. So, this really just came from, hey, they're pirates, right? That was the basic idea. But also, I don't really like thieves feeling like a tax.
The thief tax, dude.
Yeah.
People hate the thief tax.
You feel like you kind of have to bring a thief because, I need this guy to steal something, right? So there are a couple ways to think about it. You can either just not have stealables matter, which is fine, I guess, or you can have it where more units can steal, so it's not really a tax, right? People don't think about healers as taxes usually, right? Because they do other stuff besides just stealing. But like thieves, they just have, usually bad combat or whatever on top of stealing. So it feels like you're forced to bring them. So I think having, more units that can steal makes it so it's like it's a more active thing you can do.
Yeah, and also stealing isn't just a binary thing of like this guy can steal and this guy can't, because the way steal works in this game is that you can steal anything aside from an equipped weapon, but you need to not only be faster than your target, but you also need to have enough con to you have to have enough con that is at least the weight of the weapon.
Yep.
So this means that you might have a guy with low con and high speed who can steal lightweight stuff easily, or a guy with high con and low speed who can steal like a armor's sidearm.
This guy's trying
Yeah,
to get
this
away.
kind of came from Thracia in a way, because I like Steel Plus and Thracia, or the way that they have steel. It's really funny, being able to steal something right out of an enemy's hand. But it's kind of busted and hard to balance around. So for a community project, I felt like it was better to reel it in a little bit, but still have the same idea behind it. So some maps are pretty intentionally designed around like being able to shuffle which item slot can be stolen. And there is a unit later who can actually shuffle the inventory slots with their skill, so you can steal which item you want.
Yeah, and on top of weapons, there are also equipable items like shields that you can steal. You can only have like one shield equipped at a time, but the boss here actually has one of these shields that just boosts your defense when it's equipped.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's equipped, it's not a weapon, so it can be stolen, and it doesn't have weight, so anybody can do it as long as you're fast enough.
Yep. Accessories, like originally, I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to use them again, because I used them in Bells of Billin too. But this time, my learnings from that was I think equipables as a whole should be infinite, because it can be kind of annoying if, like, okay, there can be some that decrement their durability, right? Like I think that can be cool for certain types. Like for example, BPAT made the glass shield, which is like really high defense and res, but it breaks after like 3 uses. That's a cool design space, but I think equips as a whole should be leaning more towards these like things you can shuffle in, but not have to worry too much about the durability on, because you don't have as many of them as weapons, you know.
Yeah.
I think a lot depends on what you have them do.
Yeah.
To your point.
Yeah, like it'd be pretty annoying to be like, oh, do I really want to waste the use of my +3 defense shield if I don't actually need that defense? And that
Right.
adds a lot of cognitive overload that isn't necessarily interesting.
It can be hard to track, yeah, whether it's equipped or unequipped. You know, yeah, it just adds a little bit more thought to it, I guess, that isn't necessarily good, right? In all cases.
So is Joe about to get the Joe? What are you thinking right now?
Gonna
Are you
smash
Thinking
the
that
stealing?
I
one.
might steal. I might steal something here.
He was gonna steal. Dude, you can steal and then
And then
canter
Kanto,
away.
exactly.
Oh,
I
that's
got this.
yeah.
This
And
great
then let someone else-
positioning here.
yeah.
I don't know if anyone else can steal
Because
this.
then you can box out the thief if you do that. So if you, I'm gonna backseat right now. If you steal with Desi, and then get the kill with someone else, because Desi can skedaddle.
Just schmooze out of the way there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's playing the nameless heroes, and now you can do.
So true.
Steel
little bit
blade. Oh, the
Oh,
Oh no.
miss. Ooh, but
oh!
it's okay
That's
because
fine.
we can
Okay.
just Kanto
Impossible.
out of the way.
Or can you?
Actually,
Canto
I don't know.
in.
Well, I would watch out here because you got.
Yeah, because of
a lot of
the
dudes.
deserter.
Yeah. You might be able to get the thief with Zemo, or you can do this
I
too.
can just steal the stuff
Little
off
charisma.
them. They
The,
stole my charisma, so there are
They-
skill books or
Yeah, there's skill
scrolls
books in
or
this.
whatever you want to call them.
That's the main way you get skills outside of just having the personal
Just the
skill,
personal,
right?
like,
Some
yes, 'cause
classes have skills, sort of.
we do
but,
have
yeah.
high-level units who still don't actually have any skills other than the personal one.
Yep. Yeah, so the main 3 that you have, which are Desiderio, Lua, and Pilar, I did want them to like feel like they're way better than the rest of the crew in a way at the start. You do have Fate's XP here, so they're not really gaining a lot, right? But or it's not exactly Fate's XP, but it's similar.
It's inspired.
Yeah, it's inspired, and I just wanted them to feel like, you know, they're kind of carrying at the start. That's why they have high base levels. I think I actually increased Desiderios recently.
I'm sorry. I love that you're like they're carrying as he shows them doing 0 damage.
Yeah, that's a
Bar
rough
It's a
level.
carry
little
Pilar.
tough.
Yeah,
I can do
it's-
2.
she's
It's
strong.
fine.
Okay,
It just
okay.
she has to not be, you know, against an armor knight.
Not against
and
a 12 defense
also-
armor knight with my 8 strength.
Yeah,
Yeah, something that I would say about this game is that it definitely is a bit matchup oriented.
oh yeah,
As far as like there are certain matchups where like you're not really doing too much, and others where you're
Mhm.
doing a lot.
Doing a lot.
And I think
Should've
what I
traded
appreciated
your
about it
gun.
is that rarely are you in a position where it's like you're totally screwed. No, Zemo.
Zemo's gone,
Zemo.
I think. There's no way.
it's over.
It's
It's over. Let's see.
Oh,
One more in.
no.
We're Iron Man gamers, though, so
We got too close. He never should have left.
So sad.
Can we get some?
and this is why you
So,
don't
yeah,
send your
um,
archer to the front lines.
I do like enemies being able to kill you kind of easily. Like the 2 hits, probably, maybe 3 hits, depending on the
It's
unit.
like this is a feature.
Yeah. Well, okay. At one point, it was a little bit too excessive. I think Iron Axe fighters were one-shotting your healer.
It's tough.
That has changed. But
Yeah, now they need a steel axe.
now they need a steel axe. The boss can actually one-shot, I think, Carmen with the steel axe. So you really want to make sure that she's not in steel axe. Well, in general, you want to make sure that you're checking enemy inventory.
And range.
Yeah.
This hack
Unlike
definitely
myself.
like the difficulty in general skews towards like pay attention and think about what you're doing, and you'll probably be fine most of the time. But if you fall asleep at the wheel or just flam weight without
Mhm.
caring the world, we're gonna get borked. What happens?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think if there's any other gameplay features I haven't mentioned. One thing is that I think I started getting into it. Some promoted classes have like their own skills. So going back to how promotions like are different based on what item you use, the incentive for giving a horse unit like a rider's badge when you could just give it to somebody else and get another mount is that you get Canto Plus if you're already a mount. So the idea is, ideally that would be nowhere else in the game, basically, like that type of Canto Plus. Like there's a Carmen skill, right? But otherwise, there isn't really a whole lot like that. And then flyers would get like pass. I think infantry mono weapon, they get to break their own weapon type. So, for example, a sword master would break another sword master. So yeah, there are still skills. They're just not exactly. There aren't too many of them. Like there's less to think about, I would say.
And it's
Yeah,
more
it's
just
something like less to think about beyond like how you design the actions you take on your turn.
Yeah.
Less of like what's every single enemy going to do.
Mm-hmm.
it's more just to define the different classes rather than
Right.
inflate them with like 4 skills each.
And you can see like Desiderio, he has huge damage here because he took a lot of damage recently. So that's his skill in action.
Yeah.
It's not really meant to be one where you calculate it or anything, because obviously it would be a lot of calculations. But when he takes damage, he hits back basically twice or half as hard. He gets an additional. The damage that he takes is like, he gets that, but half. It's added to his attacks.
We're gonna use some Carmen strats here.
He's using chicken Parmesan.
Carmen and Zemo actually gave like real stats semi-recently.
They got real
They're
stuff.
no longer generics
Ooh.
plus 5% growths,
They're not Iron Emblem inspired anymore.
This
unfortunately.
might not work. Does the knife debuff? No.
No.
So this is tough because she just doesn't do any damage.
Yeah.
Because the hide shield, yeah.
Steal the shield.
Right.
Maybe Razvan can steal it?
The razzle dazzle.
Well, doesn't Razvan? Oh, he might not die if
No.
he
Oh,
has
he
the
can't.
defense.
He's not fast enough.
Let's see. He
He's just too
has
slow.
7
Not too
speed
fast.
Kind of slow.
versus 8.
Luke's opening up the build file right now.
Get on that. I don't know if he can live another hit, but I guess we're gonna find out. Or maybe he'll just go for Carmen. San
Maybe bait
Diego.
him into attacking someone who doesn't
San
counter him.
Diego.
Would he kill?
But if Desiderio dies, he dies. Just a sublord.
21, but I have 5 defense, so maybe he'll like try to hand axe Razvan. Let's see. No, he just goes straight for it.
Oh, damn, it's
Ooh,
exact damage.
it's
This is
tough.
brutal.
It's tough.
Well, just more Iron Man action.
It's okay. He's too important to die.
Yeah, this guy's like telling us his entire life story as he walks away from the battlefield.
It's just fine.
It's okay. We
So
got a
it's
shield
tough
out of it.
to break through this guy without stealing first.
Definitely. I've learned this lesson the hard way.
Firsthand.
It's okay, because the steel blade will close it out. The strongest weapon of all.
So true.
Shout out to Brian.
Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention, because I haven't somehow this whole time. The music, right? The music is all custom. So everything done here, like a lot of the people, or I'll name some of the names that contributed to it. So A Reliable Chair, Archer, Alice, Random Wizard, although I don't think any of their stuff has shown up yet. And Pent recently. Catball. I think those are all the people that have contributed music to the project. It's really cool. And another big thing is on the map. I don't know if you heard it, but the music stays the same during battle, right? Or it's like modern games where they change like the instruments a little bit when they're in the battle versus on map. So Smee made that for this project, or like, yeah. And well, wait, yeah, she made the part where it goes like Rain Thunder, right? And then also boss tracks, similar thing. Those, when you attack a boss, it will continue playing after you fight them. So it'll stay on the map and you'll hear that track. So that's really cool. I think that's one of the more like non-gameplay things that I think is one of the coolest things in this project.
It definitely gives a vibe, and it's a good vibe. I think it's fun. I mean, the music's great, but then the way it interacts with the gameplay, I think, is cool.
Yeah, there's just a lot of cool stuff being implemented here.
We're hacking.
We are indeed hacking.
So where are we now? We're at Hub A. Are we saying? Do we say Port Grigor?
I've always said Port Grigor, yeah.
Grigor. So this is the first of the hubs.
Yeah.
Would you like to explain the hubs?
Yeah, so hubs are basically they're a place where you can choose out of a group of chapters and decide which chapter you want to take first. That was another big part of like the initial inspiration behind this project. I think it's been likened to like Mega Man, where you can choose which boss you want to face first and what order. In this case, when you choose a chapter, you'll be facing it, whatever. For the first time, it's normal, right? But if you take it as the second or the third or the fourth, all of the enemies auto level with the chapter. So that also includes your player units. They auto level. So you can kind of choose your own early game in a way that isn't that way. So like, for example, there's a unit who has a skill who benefits from being benched. But he also has a really bad lance rank at the start. He has E lances. So if you wait until the very end, he has D lances, like just off the bat. But then you don't benefit from the skill. So it's there's some unique trade-offs like that. Another one that comes to mind is there's a unit who has like lopsided stats, but if you don't take him early, he has a skill where he can swap his strength and speed stats. But if you don't take him early, then he's just going to auto level like normal, so you don't gain that same influence. But then he's also going to be more balanced and less lopsided. So there's just some interesting stuff like that. And the hubs themselves are kind of like JRPG Town inspired a little bit. The first one, it could be filled out a little bit more, but for the most part, it's where it's meant to be.
And there's so much there.
Yeah, you can
There's
choose
a
out
lot
of 6
there already.
chapters.
Yeah.
My view on it was always like, you don't have to do it all to start, because most of it stays over like every time you're there, so you can kind of break it up. There's some talk combos there. There's some recruits you can do. I don't think there's any like items you can pick up, but I was thinking about adding that, like chests or whatever.
I think you can like buy it from a merchant. Like there's a one-time deal.
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
you can pick an item.
There's a merchant who sells like rainbow tonics, because tonics are in this game, and a equipable that gives you res and like defense. So yeah, there's some stuff going on in the hubs, but the main part is, it's mostly there to get you to the chapters.
Yeah. And also we can get some new units, which is a good thing because we just lost a couple of them.
Yeah, we're gonna need some of those.
I'm in need of some units.
So yeah, in the initial part in the hub, like everything is kind of disabled except for the part where wants you to go. That's what the blue tiles are for. But later, you can't explore like all those little openings. They all have like blue tiles on them, and you can like open that. And the way it works is, honestly, it was kind of a mess. But there's like all these complex tile changes that I set up to make it work. And then Smee also had to do some work to make that mesh well with the chapter selection screens, which we're going to see in a little bit.
They're so cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. And Fado is here. He's not really Fado, but I just don't have a mug to put there yet, so I just left it.
It's a pretty handsome mug.
It's pretty handsome, yeah.
This one's by Intelligent Systems, I think, so.
Shoutouts to Intelligent Systems.
For making it all possible.
They did a lot of work in this project, I think.
They really did.
They really set up the foundation for us to build on top of. And so for that, we thank them. Great hackers.
Definitely.
They made one of my favorite FE7 hacks, FE8.
That's one of your favorites?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Wow. I guess there's not a whole lot of options, huh?
So where are we heading?
So now if you look at the bottom right.
Or bottom left.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yep, down there.
Bottom left.
I think it's still a little more.
Oh wait, you can't go to the bottom left yet. I see.
No,
I
it's
know.
not.
Yeah.
We're being
You're
forced
follow
into
the-
the story here.
Yeah,
yellow
we're in the
paint.
story section for now. This part is a little bit long, in terms of like the story section. But
It's just triangle strategy
yeah,
inspired, Luke.
a little bit, yeah. Triangle strategy is more like an hour, but yeah.
That's why I said inspired.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
inspired. I
inspiration.
mean, we had some learnings from playing Triangle Strategy. One of them was do not put over an hour of cutscenes between 2 chapters of gameplay.
Yeah,
Not a
especially
great
not
idea.
at the very start of the game.
Yeah, not ideal.
I think we generally did a good job of taking things that we liked from a lot of games and figured out ways to implement them in ways that, at least in our opinion, probably a bit better, tailored to our refined taste.
Yeah, it's what I think is better, but obviously some people will disagree. That's totally fine. Oh yeah, one thing, I guess leaning off of that, like Break, for instance, and Engage, it doesn't actually have weapon triangle advantage, so you can end up with some like, shady, I guess I'd say, combat interactions where it's like, oh, you have Break, but it's like 50 something hit rate. So you still have weapon triangle advantage here, as I think the gameplay showed. There's just stuff like that. Some small edits,
Yeah, I believe the weapon triangle is a little bit stronger than usual. It's 2 might, right?
Yeah, it's 2 might, 20 hit.
A big triangle.
Pretty big, yeah.
And so I know we talked a little bit about the chapter selection. Hub A, I think there are 6 total chapters. Before then you go to like the story map that then leads you into the second part. And so you might be wondering like, well, I get not doing the game in order, but what does that mean for the story? And so I'll say it here, I'll say it once. A lot of the stories are like little side stories that kind of build context around the world and the characters and all this stuff, and you collect cool things, you meet cool people, and it all kind of combines into a single main story. So it's kind of like, it feels sort of side questy at times, which can be a fun vibe, and I find it's like a different change of pace from a lot of more like linear games, and especially Fire Emblem apps, right, which are generally very like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3,
sure.
etc. This, I think, kind of gives everything a little more breathing room, and it kind of gives you a chance to explore the world. And as you might have picked up from reading some of this, there are different factions that make up the skies of this world, and there's a lot of history and lore and all that stuff that people will debate on Discord for the next 5 years, hopefully. So there's a lot to kind of take in, and I think the structure of the story is enhanced by the way that the gameplay is organized. And I think it's just very unique, which is one of the things that I've really appreciated having played the project. I was going to say contributed, but my contributions are really tiny.
I mean, hey, you contributed to the whole idea of it, really.
Well,
like,
it was your idea.
Characters.
You wanted Sky Pirates, Luke. I just
it's like Sky Pirates
idea.
plus Triangle Strategy was the original idea.
Skies of Arcadia. Shout out.
It's funny. I don't even think I'd played it or heard of it before I had the idea. Maybe like in the ether somewhere, but I've still not played it.
To be
So I
fair,
probably should do that.
flying boats is not the most original of ideas.
So it's probably more Final Fantasy inspired in that part of it. So I played like FF6 or whatever. Any FF, they all have airships, pretty much.
Well, spoilers. I don't think Skies of Arcadia will be at FEE3 2024, but
This is so sad.
Stay tuned for more Pyro Project.
Well, I don't know. There's still a couple hours left where Skies of Arcadia could submit their game.
Possible,
That's true. They've been working on their hack for a long time.
I'm pretty sure people wanted a sequel with that because it's like a cult classic, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I think the most notable story addition that I did was just adding Orlando.
We love Orlando.
He's he's sort of a mentor, but he's not as important as the other 3 that show up in chapter 1. But he's more like a messenger, I guess, to get Lua rolling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's instigating the plot. Who did Orlando's art, by the way? Because it's a fantastic.
That was Raymond. Yeah.
Praise Raymond, dude. I love the leather jacket. A lot
for the project. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Orlando looks dashing.
I think this one was like partially based on a splice competition, or it was in that, and then it was edited from there. But it's really cool.
Yeah. It's a great
Yeah, for
point.
sure. We have so many great hats in this game. It's awesome.
I was about to
Yeah,
say some
there's so
really
many
good
awesome hats,
hats
yeah.
going on.
If you like hats, this might be the hack for you.
First ever hat-based hack.
So true.
The
We
hat
need like an
wrong.
equipable hat. There's no
The hat
equipable hat
wrong.
yet.
There's no equipable hats yet. This feels
There's like an
wrong.
eye
I guess it's
patch.
also because like this is the type of hack where like if you make an equipable hat, it requires alternative art for everyone.
True.
Well, it'd just be in the inventory, right?
Yeah, I mean like a gameplay clip. So anyway, yeah, you can
Yeah.
go back to the base, kind of walk around.
Yeah, there's a lot
Um,
more blue squares now, so I
here
can
it's
do what I
like-
want.
So you can see here there's like talk combos and whatever.
Yeah.
Lua's room. There's not really anything in there, but there is later in the hub. It's just like, yeah, it's like this, right? So there's all these tile changes, and then when you click back on it, it sort of undoes it, right? For the most part, like, okay, sometimes you'll run into an open chest, or not an open chest, like a closed chest and pick it and then nothing happens. That's because I haven't actually set up any like treasure or anything like this yet. But
No goodies for you.
the main stuff in this hub, like in here, it's just talk combos. Out there, it's like there's shops you can buy stuff at. It's like steels and I think irons. The houses currently don't have anything. I think they're just kind of there for show.
They're there for
Yeah.
show.
They
Who
were
did this map?
originally there.
Did you make this
Oh,
map?
that was Random
Praise
Random
Random
Wizard
Wizard.
made the entire hub stuff, or not the entire hub stuff, but the entire like outdoor hub area. So like here and the other tile chains that we saw earlier on the right. And also, I think they made the tavern, which is down to the bottom. The inside of that was also Random Wizard, and then the inner, like the pirate, hideout area, that was mainly I think I go by Tom Cruise, and then I made some small edits, but that's for a different reason, for like gameplay chapter stuff.
Before we get to the inn, should we show off the chapter selection screen? Because I think that's really cool.
Yeah, we can do that after the Samson
Yeah.
Aaron stuff here, the recruit. Because yeah, these three guys
In the cool hat.
Oh yeah, we have another cool hat. These three you can just choose from. The way this works is because it's a community project. Like for the hubs, people can submit like unit ideas. We have like a form set up. So we've done that for Hub A. Hub B is a little bit less set up right now, but eventually we'll have them too. And that's just kind of another way to get people that aren't making gameplay chapters directly to get them involved and get units in, because everybody loves adding units, right?
Who doesn't? I mean,
Everybody.
I'll tell you one thing, and I'm unique among people in the hacking community, but my unit ideas are the best ideas, and so thus I will submit many forms, and I'm sure
Awesome.
every single person feels the same way.
That's just fun, right? Idea guy.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't want to idea guy some stuff? I think this choice is pretty interesting.
So here, it's more interesting than it used to be because I buffed Medwin's skill a little bit. So this ties into tonics. Basically, if you use a tonic, the effect's tripled. So for example, defense tonic gives you 6 defense instead of 2, right? So if you wanted to, you'd have like, how much defense does he have at base? 11? Like 13?
13.
So you have like 19 defense at base if you wanted to do that, right?
It's a good
Still not
change, Luke. I like this
invulnerable.
change.
But then
Yeah.
you're stuck with the
Invulnerable.
3-move Armor Knight.
Oh, is he
No.
supposed to be 4-move?
I think his thing is already showing as like minus for some reason.
Oh.
Take a look at that. Normally it's 5.
It's gameplay story integration. He's had
Yeah.
He's already drunk, so
Yeah, exactly. We're just gonna roll with it. Bart, he's kind of like a speed lance guy. He gets another attack if he breaks the enemy. So it's like adept, but guaranteed.
interesting.
And
Bart's
then
pretty solid.
Medwin, Triana is you see she does a lot of strength. The reason is shamans promote into like barons and malignites. They don't have there's no druid equivalent because I didn't want 3 tome staff classes.
Very good.
But it's cool. Like, and her skill is that she gives weapon triangle advantage to any ally who's attacking an enemy next to her.
Another mage giving a very strong aura effect.
It's definitely strong, yeah.
Spur weapon triangle advantage.
Which plays into break, right? So
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Yodson, I guess we can talk to him. He's over there on the right, the gunner.
Yodson.
Mr. Yodson.
His gimmick is that he has like an initial cost that's really high, and he has a really strong weapon, the mortar, just like a siege gun weapon that does a lot of damage,
Ooh, yes.
really high range.
Yeah, you might even hit if you're lucky.
He might hit. It's possible. If you give him a skill tonic and you use his skill, which also gives him, I think, more skill, I want to say. It's like kind of accurate. But yeah, his gimmick is that his initial cost is really high, but if you put it off, like if you keep doing hub chapters and coming back, his cost goes down by 500 each time. So eventually, in the end, he'll join you for free. But he wasn't there for you in the original, the chapters where it would have been really impactful, I guess. But yeah. Otherwise, like the three in the middle, they auto level. So if you don't need the unit, you can just keep them there, and they'll auto level just like everybody else auto levels.
Love it. I can't even imagine, Luke, just how much is going on in the back end of
There's
this
a
hub
lot
chapter.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly,
It's a lot, dude.
it's a lot. It's the reason why Hub B is not as filled out, probably.
Understandable. And what's nice is that we're building it with build files, so we can do things
Yeah,
asynchronously out of
definitely.
order.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
hack
Shout out to build
in
files.
builder, this hack in builder would basically be impossible. I'm gonna be honest. Like
Yeah.
you could do it, but
You could if
changes
you really hate
that would
yourself.
be necessary. I don't really have a black tile, so I just use those. But
Yeah,
it would
yeah,
be really difficult. So mainly just like whenever you edit something, right, especially with high wizardry hacks, it can be a real pain. So that's pretty much the tavern. We can maybe show off the chapter preview.
Right, yes.
So
Let's go talk to someone who
let's
gives
talk
us a
to,
chapter.
Pandan's one over there, not that guy, but all the way.
Archer and soldier.
Yeah, the archer and soldier on the right.
Let's go.
Since Pandan is here with us.
Biko.
We do
Biko
love
and
a
Ande.
good pandan.
Yeah, these are some funny units.
So the red indicates that they're chapter givers.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be like random units like this. Sometimes it'll be units in your army. So for example, Desiderio and Pilar give you missions in this chapter, in this hub. You just have to go to the right and you'd see them. But they all kind of have, they're all focused on like side stories, like Pandan was mentioning earlier. And I think they all do kind of tie into the main plot a little bit. But here, for Hub A and Hub B, it was more meant to be like, set up in a way for what was coming next.
It's expository, for sure. Yeah.
Like showing off the world and everything.
We
So-
got a
This
very
is really
awesome
cool.
preview of the mini-map for the chapter.
Yes, me made this. Super cool. It shows it just takes like a bunch of text entries and then it shows a background that you choose, the mini map of the chapter, and then you can just choose no or yes, right? So in this case, let's maybe just press yes and show off Ande and Biko real quick, and then we can wrap it there. But yeah.
Well, it sounds like we've
Yes,
showed
sir.
off everything we wanted to show
Yeah.
off, unless you wanted to hop into the chapter.
I think Joseph is AFK.
Joe, are you okay there?
I am good. I had to step out for like 5 seconds there.
Oh, cool. So yeah, I think here what we can do is maybe just show off this chapter real briefly.
Sure.
And not actually play into it, just like show the new units.
Yeah. I was getting my B and A buttons mixed up for a moment there.
Oh, okay. So yeah, if you select it, then you'll get a little scene after showing the accepted dialogue. Here, maybe we can I don't know, should we skip the text or should we see the text. I don't know how far we are in right now.
Good question. We're at 45 minutes, so we still have a little bit of time if we want to let the dialogue roll in case we have more stuff to say.
What do you think, Dan?
We can skip it. I mean, my writing's not that great, so we can leave something for when people actually play it.
That's true. We can let them see it for I think that's all they need to see, really.
Yeah, I think this is where we should end
We got
it.
the food
It really
dialogue.
sums it up.
We've got Grog, we got a food reference. Yep, it's Pandan.
I've been outed.
So we can just show the units.
Yes.
Yeah.
Skip through all this
Yeah, Topeka
story
was
that he worked hard
the
on.
soldier that I was mentioning earlier.
There he is.
We love a good Hackrom
Glorious.
soldier.
Oh, yeah.
Cap
Whoa.
magic.
Whoa,
Is that on
something happened.
purpose? Probably not.
That is
Yeah,
not-
he's got a lore reason for having cab magic. This guy is
Where's my
very
flame
powerful.
lance when you need
There's
one?
a little bit of an underflow error, it looks like. We had a negative base, but it was too negative.
Interesting.
more like an underflow feature.
Yeah, let's keep this one.
So,
but yeah, he
because
is like,
the funny skill.
yeah, I think Panon's idea for this was like fatigue, but as a skill in a way.
Yes. This is how I force my ideas onto the world.
Awesome.
Evil fatigue user.
And then Ande's skill is strength magic taker, basically. So she gets strength and magic when she kills an enemy.
Yeah, and she does
So
come
she
with the
kind of,
shining bow, so she can actually use that
The magic.
that nice even six strength and magic.
Mhm.
Then we have
So yeah,
the man himself,
Yodson.
Mr. Yodson, is here.
Yep, he's here. Yeah, he's ready. Not today though.
Yes.
But yep, I think it's a good place to wrap things up. Oh yeah, there are a couple new units. I guess we have
You got
this
Estelle.
skill. Estrel, she has a really passive skill, I would say, if you get lucky. Luck is a little bit stronger in this, so it's like you're getting 12 avoid, I think, if that triggers, which is pretty nice.
Not insignificant.
Yeah,
Does Luke, should we point people to the thread on feuniverse.us to read more about some of the
you
formula
probably
changes?
should. So I think that'll be in the description, hopefully, so you can click on
Should
that.
be.
And it is work in progress, so it's not like a final release or anything. But you know, if you want to test it out, if you want to try it, see something that you think is interesting, yeah, I'd take a look and let me know if you have any feedback or anything. Always down to hear it.
So how far along are we? Like how many playable chapters?
I think it's 14.
It's still a pretty solid amount to sink your
Yeah.
teeth into.
We're over halfway done, I think. So probably around
Where's the meat?
23-ish chapters in the end.
So we can look forward to next year when I'll be showing the
Yeah.
finished product, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It should be
That's
finished
the
by next
dream.
year, yeah. Here's something.
Here's to hoping.
A very optimistic outlook. I
Well,
like
thanks,
it.
Joe, for giving it a whirl.
Yep. Thanks, Joseph.
Yes, it has been very fun. For the record, I have not played at all before, so this is why
that's
I
what we
suck
wanted.
really badly. But
We wanted
I'm having
somebody
a
who
fun
hadn't played it.
time.
Rare
so-
praise from Pikmin 1211.
Hack good? Question
Just that
mark.
break, and that was enough.
True. I'm like engage mechanics. I'm on board.
So
Yeah,
true.
so I guess we can sign off then. Thanks for watching, and I hope anybody takes a look at this and gives it a try.
And stay
Yes.
safe. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
And final shout outs to everyone working on this hack because there are a lot of them and it's been pretty awesome so far.
It's a community effort.
Definitely. And we'll see you next year, gamers.
Goodbye, gamers.
Goodbye, gamers.